Hello everyone. Today we are going to understand windowing clause. This is basically used in analytical window functions in SQL queries. I'll be using Oracle here, but I think it will be also same for Postgres also. So let's start with the understanding of windowing clause. So the basic syntax is you will have a function, say like sum, count, average, and then the column, whatever column that you want. Then the keyword is over, and then you have this particular block where it starts with partition by, which is optional. Order by is mandatory if you are going to use a windowing clause. So windowing clause needs order by. So in windowing clause, there are two types actually. One is rows and the other one is range. What is the difference actually? When we say rows, it actually means physical rows. So when I say rows between say like two rows before and two rows after, so that is actually physical rows. Say I'm on row number 3, your employee number C. When I say two before, so two before would be A and two after would be E, basically this fifth number. So that's rows for you. But when I say range, so range it works on values. On which value? What you provide in the order by. Say in this case, I am providing order by salary, right? Say if I say range between 1000 preceding, say I'm on row number 3, and when I say 1000 preceding, but order by is salary. So this is my salary. When I say 1000 preceding means what is the value here? 2000. So I'll subtract the value 1000 from this value. So this becomes my range. So the range would be 1000. What is the and to the current row? What is my current row? 2000. So from 1000 to 2000. So this is what range is. It works on the values, and rows works on the physical rows. So that's the difference between rows and value. Rows and range, sorry. And the syntax for the windowing clause, after rows or range, between is the keyword, and then you will have some value or expression. Then the other keyword is preceding, and again value expression, and then following. Now let's understand what are the possible values. Now possible values here is unbounded preceding. When we say unbounded preceding, say I am on row number C, that is 3 number. When I say unbounded preceding, that means the first of the partition, or if the partition is not provided, then the first of the table. When I say unbounded following, end of the partition or end of the table. Current row, say I'm on row number 3, then the row number 3 is my current number. And when I say number preceding, right, say 2 preceding, then 1 and 2, so 2 preceding, I will go 2 back, 2 rows back. And when I say 2 following, then 2 rows after from the current row. And 0 preceding is current row. So for 0 preceding, we mention current row. And you can have a valid numeric expression as well. This was the basic idea. Now let's look at the example. Okay, this is my table here. So this is employee department table. I'm getting employee number, e-name, hire date, department name, and salary. Now we will try various windowing clause. Okay, let's start with. I'll start with the default one. So when I don't mention the windowing clause, then what is my default? So let's understand. So I'll do sum of salary over. So this is my syntax, right? This is the function name, and this is the column. Over is the keyword, and here there is partition, right? Partition is optional. a partition by, I'll do by d name, then I'll add another order by salary. I'll keep order by salary. Now this is my default windowing clause. Now let's see the output. See what is happening here. When I am on row number, let me also go order by d name and salary. This will give more clarity. If I start here, right, first row, this is accounting, this is my partition, right? This is my one partition, accounting partition, because I have partitioned on d name, that is accounting department. This is my one partition. You could say it's one bucket or one partition in which I will do the sum of salary, and then after the partition I do the order by salary. So this is salary ascending. So it starts with 1300, 2450 and 5000. Now there is a default windowing clause which is applied here, although I have not mentioned here. So let's understand that. So when I am at row number 1300, see what happens here. I get the output of sum of salary as 1300. And when I am at row number 2, this is 3750, which means I have added 2450 plus 1300. Now I get 3750. And if I go to row number 3, the value is 5000. And if you look at the sum 8750, see it is 5000 plus 2450 plus 1300. So as you can understand, this is basically range between unbounded, preceding and current row. So this is the default actually. This is the SQL standard. Okay, this should be true in any database. So let's repeat again. When I say unbounded preceding, now even though it's in range, right? I have not, range means values, but here I am saying unbounded preceding. Now there is no limit, right? So if I start here, anything before this row, nothing. So 1300. And what is my current row? 1300. Now come to second row. When I say unbounded preceding, how many rows behind, how many before rows we have? 1. And what is my current row? This is my current row. So I add both this. So sum of salary. So 1300 plus 2450, 3750. Just remember one more thing. This windowing clause is applied on the whatever you have in the order by. Just make sure that you identify this one. Else you might get confused. That say, suppose I change the order by to some other column, say higher date, or maybe it might be some other number column. Then it is applied on that number column. So just keep that in mind. So windowing clause is applied on the column which is there in the order by clause, not in the function column. Okay, just keep this in mind. Now let's take one more example. Say I want 2 rows before and 2 rows after sum. Okay, let's try this out. Again, sum of salary over, I'll just zoom this a bit. sum of salary over, again I'll do the partition by department name, and then there is order by salary. Now what I want is two rows before. So your syntax is rows between, when I say two rows before, so there is two preceding. For before we use preceding. So two rows before, two before rows or two preceding rows. And what I want is two rows after. So basically following rows. So two following. So this is how it becomes very simple. This is two rows before and two rows after. Now let's run the query. You look here in the first partition accounting, and I say two preceding. So I'm on first row. Let's remove this. Two rows before and two rows after. Now two rows before from this row, there is nothing. So it will be 0 plus 1300. That is here before rows. Now after rows, in this partition, two rows. When I say two rows, it's this one and this one. So here total count 8750. And if you come to second row, both these rows are included. Two rows before means 1300 is also included, and two rows after, this one is also included. So you will take this example of research. So in research, we are at row number 4, right? Smith. 800. Now what is my two rows before? In the research, nothing. Now two rows after, 800 plus 1100 plus 2975, which is there 4875. Okay. And same if we come here, then 800 plus 1100 plus 2975 plus 3000. And if you total it out, it will be 7875. Easily you can see 3000 is added here. When I come to 2975, two rows this one, 800, 1100, 2975, 3000 and 3000, again 10875. And when I come here, two rows before means 1100 plus 2975 plus 3000 plus 3000. This is the last row, that's it. So now total is 8975. If you come, sorry, we were here, right? Okay, just take this one. For this one, there will be 2975, 3000 and 3000. We get 8975. So this is how you apply the windowing clause between two preceding and two following. Let's take one more example of current row. I will say take one rows before, not one rows. Maybe I will take the current row and two rows after. If you look at this example, sum of salary over partition by d name, what I have done, what I'm going to do is between current row, the current row is the keyword, and I'm saying two following. Current, 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 and two following. That's my windowing clause. Now let's see what is the output. If you look here, 1300, then these two rows, we get 8750. Now come to 2450, second row, current row, and plus two following. But in accounting, we only have one now because this is the frame or this is the bucket. So 2450, 5000. So total becomes 7450. Now come to 5000. There are no following rows, only 5000. Now come to this one, 800 plus two following. Now let's take a random example of 2975. 2975 and these two. These are the two following rows. So this is my frame basically, you could say, in the partition. So current row and two following. So that's what we have done here. So this is how you can apply the rows windowing clause. Now let's take example of range windowing clause. Sum of salary same over partition by rename order by salary. Now we'll take range. Let's try to create some range. We'll take range between 2000 preceding and 2000 following. Now in range, just keep this in mind. This would be my column on which my range would be applied. So my salary, this number, right? So whatever is the number, when I say preceding, right? So it will be subtracted. Say 1300 is subtracted by 2000. Then 2450 is subtracted by 2000. That will be my starting range. So what do I get here is starting range and the ending range. So that's how we create the range basically. Range of values. So it is playing with the values. In the rows, we were actually playing with the rows, physical rows. That was it. And in case of range, we have the values basically. You are creating a starting range value and the ending range value. Now let's look at the output. You look here, when I say 1300, let's take this example. I'll write it down here. 1300. If I put it in this way, what is my starting range and ending range? So for 1300, 1300 minus 2000 is minus 700. And what is my ending range? 1300 plus 2000 is 3300. Okay. So this is my range. So any value between this range, they will be part of the output or the sum. So here you can say 2450 is part of this range. That is why we have added this. And even 1300 is part of this one. Obviously 1300 will be there. 1300 and 2450. Same for 2450. Let's create the range. So if I do minus 2000, so it will be 450. And if I do plus 2000, then it is 4450. See, it is still not touching 5000. Hence, it only picked up this range. So in this range of values between 450 and 4450, and the partition is accounting, right? So we got 1300 and 2450. And in case of 5000, what would be my range? 3000 and 7000. So none of the values are matching here except the current. Now let's take the research. Okay. It is 800 here. And if I do minus 2000, it will be minus 1200. And if I do plus 2000, it will be 2800. Now let's look at the output. See here 800, obviously it is part of this range. 1100 is part of this range. But if I go to the 2975, it is not part of this range. Hence I got 1900. Now let's go to 1100. So for 1100, it will be minus 900 to 3300. So here you can see what all values will be part of this. 800, 1100 is part of this range, and 2975 is also part of this range. And there will be 3000 is also part of this range, and even this 3000 is part of this range. So here we got almost all of them part of this range. Hence we got 10875. Now let's take the other example. 2975. I again subtract 2000 from this. Now my range starts from 975, and this is my 4975. Now let's see. For 2975, you can clearly see 975 is the starting range, so hence 800 is out of this. So it starts from here, and hence rest all are part of the range, and that is why we got 10075. So this is how you calculate the range. You can do the range on the dates as well using the interval. So it would be like a range between interval 1 year and in 1 year preceding, and interval 1 year following. So you can put any number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. You can put here month as well, whatever is part of the interval, days, etc. So whatever preceding in. And just keep this in mind. If we are using interval, and say suppose I want to do order by, then I will have to do the order by on hire date, even though I might be doing some on the salary. So this is how the windowing clause works. So there are some rules or exceptions to these window functions. Let's understand them. So when we are doing the aggregate functions like sum, average, mean, count, etc., we need these frames, window frame basically, what we have seen in the examples. So they aggregate over a set of rows. So frame defines that, like we have seen, right? 2 preceding, 2 after, or in the range of values we have seen like between 900 and 5000 in the first value, last value, nth value. Also, we will need the window frame because they return a value within the current frame, whatever current frame you decide. But in case of ranking functions, this windowing clause and even the navigation functions like lag and lead, these won't be allowed, or basically not part of the window frame. Because in this case, we are just locating a particular row number. Say in case of row number, right? When I assign the row numbers, so it is like 1, 2, 3, 4 based on the order by and the partition. So based on the order by, I will just assign the number, or I may assign a rank. So it is just on the ordered position. It is not based on the frame. So that is why we don't apply windowing clause here in this case. And same for lag and lead. See, in lag and lead, same thing, right? Say if I apply one preceding, but my lag function says get the value 3 rows before. From the current row, go 3 rows before. So that's what lag function does. So in that case, how would you define a frame? Because it is going to a particular row number, right? So it is directly accessing a fixed offset row. So this is a simple rule. So if the function asks which row should I consider, then use a window frame, right? Like sum, average, etc. Which rows should I consider for summing up average or count, etc. Or which row should I consider to get the first value or the last value or the nth value. And in case of row numbers and ranking function, navigation function, when we say where is the current row, so it is the current row which is more important, right? And in lag and lead, we say which row is n positions away. So it does not use a window frame. So just keep this in mind. Otherwise, you might get confused at why there is no windowing clause in these. So this was important, and this is all about the windowing clause in the analytical functions. I think this was very important, and sometimes it is a bit complex to understand. So this will help you in your day-to-day work and even in your interviews. Thank you so much.